Namaste and Jai Sita Ram devotees. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang this beautiful August 22nd, 2021. Before we commence with our service for today, devotees, I ask you to join together with me as we sing this very beautiful bhajan, as we go ahead and mentally and physically prepare for our service for today. Swagata Samajana Issa Mandir Bhakti ki swati ki dhar Sundhara sumadhur gana hamar Ranjana sabanaranara Isha samuna nirguna vinashi Mata pita raruyara Isha samuna At this time, devotees, I ask that you join together with me as you go ahead and clasp hands and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax your spine, relax your shoulders, your neck, your forehead. With your hands still clasped and your eyes closed, use all of your energy to focus on the form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus, and join together with me, devotees, as we chant our prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagadyam Yena Kripena Bhujita Mangurutakasya Svedhanam Om Sahanavatu Sahanavatu Sahavirim Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvashavahe Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari. As we continue on with other prayers, devotees, we join together as we chant the most powerful Gayatri. Om Mangachi Varade Devi Akshare Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Matari Vishwani Namaste. Om Bhuri Bhuvaswam Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhuri Bhuvaswam Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhuri Bhuvaswam Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Prem se bol Gayatri Mata ki Jai. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers of obedience so that remove or destroy all obstacles in our life. We offer praise to Lord Ganesh. Om Shri Ganapati Namaha. Om Yanjananam Ganadhi Sevitam Kapitajam Palachara Bhaksham Om Asutam Shoga Vinashakarakam Namami Viganeshwara Kalapam Om Akratunda Mahakayam Suryakoti Samaprabham Nirviganam Kurmi Deva Sarvakarishu Saravada Om Raksha Raksha Gana Raksha Rakshatrelokya Rakshakar Bhaktanam Bhayam Karta Trata Bhava Om Shriman Mahaganadipate Namah Prem Se Bolo Ganesh Bhavani Ki Jai. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers to that mother of knowledge and learning in this universe, that mother of clarity of mind, and that mother of wisdom. We offer prayers to Saraswati. Om Saraswati Mahabhagi Vidye Kamalanchani Vidyarupe Vishalakshi Vidyamnehi Namostutye Om Saraswati Namastubhyam Vadire Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhira Bhavatu Me Sada Siddhira Bhavatu Me Sada Om Prem Sura Saraswati Mata Ki Jai. Continuing on, devotees, we offer prayers and obediences to that universal mother and that destroys all evils in our life. We offer prayers to Adi Shakti Durga. Om Mahadurgaye Namaha. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhandra Kali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swatha Namostute Jai Om Devi Chamune Jai Putharate Nihardini Jai Sarvagate Devi Kaliratri Namostute Adivi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnu Ayeti Shamnita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Tushti-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. As we pray to Mother Durga, devotees, we say, O Durga Mata, thou art the universal mother, and we, your children, worship you in your many forms. O Ma, we see you as a Buddhi, wisdom, Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, peace, Tushti, contentment, and Daya, compassion. And as we pray to you, Ma, Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. As we pray to you, Ma, we bow to thee again and again. Devotees, we offer prayers to Mother Durga in the form of the universal mother. Ate. Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matri-rupena samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. Dehi Saubhagyam Arogyam Dehi Me Paramam Sukam Rupam Dehi Jayam Dehi Yesho Dehi Kushbu Jahi. Om Prem Shakti Durga Mata Ki Jai. Continuing on, devotees, we offer prayers so that the sustainer of all things dharmic and all things righteous in this universe, we offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shandakaram Bhujagshayanam Harmanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gagan Sadrasham Meghavarnam Shumama Om Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Hibhiradhyanagamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavaya Haram Sarvalokekanatham Om Sashankar Chakram Sakirethakumbhalam Sapitamustam Sarasirveshan Sahara Vakshasarashobhikostu Bhashriyam Namami Vishnu Shirasacharujam Namami Vishnu Shirasacharujam Prem se Lord Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. And finally, devotees, we join together as we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru. As we offer prayers to that destroyer of all evils in our life and in this universe, we join together as we offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Bharapuram Ghoram Karunavataram Samsara Saram Bhujagendraharam Saravasantam Hirdayardavanye Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Om Shiva Hare Shiva Rama Sakye Prabhu Triyodhana Parivarane Anjaneshwari Yadav Pahima Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumeva Kamalalochana Ramanayani Varam Vajrakshakapati Shiva Tanu Bhava Shankar Pahimam Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Swanaranjana Mangala Mandiram Bhajati Te Purusha Paramam Param Bhavati Tasya Sukam Paramadabhutam Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Jaya Yudhishthira Bhupati Jaya Jaya Arjita Punya Payunidhi Jaya Kripamaya Krishna Namostute Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Bhava Vimochana Madhava Mapati Sukha Vimana Sahansa Shivarati Janaka Charatara Bhava Rakshamam Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Pavani Mandana Mangala Mapati Jalada Sundara Rama Ramapati Bigama Kirti Gunarnava Gopate Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Patita Pavanam Nama Mairata Tavaya Shovimalam Pregiyati Tadapi Madhavamam Kimu Pakshate Shiva Hare Vijayam Amarata Paradeva Ramapati Vijayatastavanama Ganupala Maikatam Karunarnava Jayate Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Hanumatam Priya Tapakaram Prabhu Surasurdhrita Sikhara Himu Manavibhava Smaranam Kritam Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Narahari Ratiranjana Sundaram Patatiya Shiva Rama Vatastam Vishati Rama Ramacharandanam Bhuje Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Shiva Hare Vijayam Gurumevaram Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all those suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that they may have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. We also offer a prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. May their passage be as smooth and tranquil. प्रेम से बोलो शिव शंकर भगवान की जय। Devotees, I'd like to once again thank a few members of our congregation for recording some bhajans and sending in them in. We'll go ahead and listen to them now, and then I will give thanks to those who sent them in here shortly.
Tasmai Shri Gurudeo Namah. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara. Jnana upajay Guru bina, bin Guru mukti na hoy. Jnana upajay Guru bina, bin Guru bhakti na hoy. मन का संचय नामित है, मन का संचय नामित है, बिन गुरु मुक्ति न होय, बिन गुरु मुक्ति न होय। गुरुर् ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो Maheshwarai. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shiva Hari Om Shiva, 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 Hari Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva. Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva. Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva. Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva. Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva, Om Shiva, Hari Om Shiva.
Jai Govinda, Jai Gopala, Jai Govinda, Jai Gopala, Krishna Gadai, Murli Bala, Krishna Gadai, Murli Bala, Mere Bhagya Vihari Ram, Mere Bhagya Vihari Ram, Udhara Kariyo Shringar, Bhadra Toya Vidari.
Sita Ram devotees, and I would like to thank first and foremost Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani for recording that first bhajan and sending it in for us to listen to. And then second of all, I'd like to thank Gita Samlal for recording in that second beautiful bhajan and sending it for us to listen to for our Sunday morning services. Devotees, as we continue to move on through through our months and weeks, we will be continuing to do virtual Sunday morning satsangs. So for those of you who have a song that you'd like to record and send in for virtual service, please do so. As a matter of fact, next Sunday, which is August 29th, we won't be having our regular Sunday morning satsang in the morning, but rather we'll be having a satsang in the evening to celebrate Shri Krishna Janmashtami. So for those of you who have a Bhagwan Shri Krishna bhajan that you'd like to record and send in, it would be most appropriate to do it at that time. Go ahead and record it, send it in, and we'll play it live during during our virtual Sunday morning, or not Sunday morning, but Sunday evening service next Sunday for Krishna Janmashtami. But devotees, for now, for those of us who have a guru, I ask that we join together as we offer a prayer to our guru. If you do not have a guru, I ask that you take Lord Shiva or any deva in your mind as your universal guru, as we join together and pray. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Dhyana Moolam Guru Murti Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripar Prem se Bolo Guru Deo ki Jai. Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna 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 Sharanam Mama. Last week, devotees, we were in chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, in which we discussed verses 29 through 35. In summation, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna in these verses, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Buddhir Vedam Dhritisjeva Gunatastri Vidam Srunu Prochamana Masisera Pratatvenandhananjaya Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna about the different kinds of understanding and determination that exist in our lives according to the modes of material nature. Those modes being Sattva Guna, Rajaguna, and Tamaguna. And he goes through 6 different things, 3 things for understanding and 3 things for determination. But when we last discussed about these, we ended on verse 36 of the Bhagavad Gita, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna is moving on to something else about our lives, something about happiness. In verse 36, where we ended, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Sukum Tva Edanam Trividham Srunu Me Bharatar Samham Abhyasaramate yatra dukhantam cha nigacchati. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. So to leave you on a cliffhanger like I always do, we ended on verse 36, 2 weeks ago, devotees. Verse 36 of chapter 18 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, O best of the Bharatas, now hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which the sometimes comes to the end of all distress. So there's happiness in our lives that we've got to attain. I know sometimes when we read from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it talks about detaching ourselves from material possessions of our worlds and living lives with just charity and sacrifice. And in the end, we ask ourselves, where do we find happiness? Or what is happiness? How do I derive happiness from those things? Or how do I derive happiness in my life if I don't maintain physical attachment? And Bhagwan Shri Krishna says that there are three kinds of happiness which we enjoy. And by performing these kinds of happiness, we come to the end of all distress. Bhagwan Shri Krishna goes on further to say in verses 37 through 39 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Yadad agre visam eva parinamritopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam Atma Bodhi Prasadhajam Visayendriya Samyogad Tadyad Agrim Ritopamam Pariname Visam Eva Tatsukham Rajasam Smritam Yad Agrichanu Bandecha Sukham Mohanam Atmana Nitralasya Pramadotam Tattamasam Udharitam Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Again, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says that there's three kinds of happiness that we have to abide by in this world. Three kinds of happiness. In verse 37, he starts off by telling Arjuna, that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to the self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. So, breaking those down, verses 37, 38, and 39. Bhagwan Shri Krishna starts off with the mode of goodness. He talks about Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna is goodness. He says that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that something that's like poison, but is just like nectar in the end, awakens oneself to realization is to be in the mode of goodness. What does it mean by that? How can poison and nectar be the same thing? I know two very strong words in describing this kind of happiness and how that relates to goodness in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. When we perform duties in life that are related to our task and to our own personal, roles in life, Bhagwan Shri Krishna said this before, sometimes we do incur sin by performing some of our duties and how we perform them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if we do that yajna, that sacrifice, if we act upon our karma, our own actions, our own duty, and we have no repercussions for it, we're doing it with full faith, full devotion, remembering Bhagwan at all times, then even though sometimes we're incurring sin, it's the same thing as drinking nectar. So he says here, in the end, that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but the end is just like nectar, which awakens once to self-realization is to be in the mode of goodness. It means that you perform an action that may have some sin into it. At the end, you're doing it with your full heart and devotion because your intention wasn't to incur sin, it wasn't to cause sin, it wasn't to cause harm. It's like nectar because you're becoming one with self-realization. You're understanding how the things you do in life not only affect you, but affect those around you. It's someone who learns, devotees, essentially. At the end of the day, what Bhagwan Shri Krishna says is someone who's happy is someone who learns. It's someone who learns. It's someone who, no matter what the outcome is, leads to self-realization, leads to whatever they did, they know how it affects them and how it affects other people. And they're going to continue to live that way. I'm not saying it's a stubborn person. I'm just saying it's somebody who knows that whatever happens, happens. And how that changes the way they act, the way they think, and the way they work. That is a person who is truly happy in life. And not all of us can say that. Not all of us can say that. I know I myself will do something, and if I don't like the way it is, or if it becomes too much for me, I become distressed. I don't become happy. I don't let it lead to self-realization. I don't necessarily lead it to self-improvement every single time. Sometimes I just look at it, I let it weigh down on my soul. Am I good enough pundit? Am I a good enough son? Am I a good enough brother? Am I a good enough husband? And sometimes those things weigh down on our souls and they take away our happiness. It takes away from the honor, stability, and benefits we give to this life. In verse 38, he says, that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. So something that we do that we feel is sweet and great, but at the very end is really just toxic. And it's things that we need to know about and things we need to realize. But it's only for those things that please our senses. So again, you want something to eat, you're really hungry, so you're going to go to the all-you-can-eat buffet to eat as much food as possible. Now, in the end, that's nectarous, right? You're hungry. You're going to eat as much food as possible. What happens after you leave an all-you-can-eat buffet? Serena and I were talking about this morning. We didn't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. It was just something we were talking about in relation to dinner last night. But when you leave that buffet, when you stuff yourself, you don't feel good anymore. You don't feel good. What's happening is all of that food is causing your blood pressure to rise, your blood sugar to rise or drop. It's causing your physiology to change. It's causing you to be distressed. You won't be happy when you wake up the next morning. You may feel very tired, very sluggish, very heavy. When we derive happiness by the senses that they obtain, by the pleasures they give to our senses, it means that we are not actually obtaining happiness. It means that we're being passionate about something. If we're only out to please ourselves, devotees, if you're only out to please your senses, to make you feel happy, if you're only out to do something to make you feel good about the fact that you did it, then you're not doing it for the reasons. You should do something because you need to do it. Because it's what must be done. Because it's what is right. Not because you're doing it because it's going to make you feel the best possible way. And finally, it says that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. Doing something you don't need to do, being ignorant. Something that arises from sleep or laziness, meaning you're going to do it the shortest way, fastest way possible because you want to get back to laying on the couch and watching TV. Let me ask you a question. When you're washing dishes, what's better for the dishes? When you pick up each one, scrub it with a sponge by hand and rinse it off and put it in the drying rack? Or if you just let them soak all in the sink in one big congealed pile, lift them out, rinse them off, and put them in the drying rack. Which one's overall probably going to be the best way to clean your dishes? The one that involves more work, of course. So sleep and laziness, what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying here, is if we don't take the time to actually put the effort into changing the world, changing society, changing ourselves, doing good for the world, but also learning from it at the same time. If we choose not to learn from our own actions, we're being ignorant. You see that time and time and again. People make the same mistake over and over and over and over again. And it's because they choose not to learn from the mistake the first time. They choose not to self-realize the first time. That quote that's out there, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. That's true. That's what this is talking about. Because if you get fooled over and over and over again, you're not trying to learn. You're just falling back into those old ways that are going to make you miserable time and time and again. And you can argue it any which way till Tuesday. That's just the saying. You can argue it any which way that you want to say, oh, but it'll be different this time. But I guarantee you it won't. Don't be ignorant. Don't be fooled by what's going on in this world. Change what you need to be happy. Happiness comes from self-realization, and it comes from us doing the duties that we need to perform without holding on or attaching ourselves to anything that's out there. That's what Bhagwan Sri Krishna wants you to know about happiness. That's how you attain happiness. He goes on further to say in verse 46, what is happiness? Who is affected by happiness? Who is obtained by happiness? Who gets happiness? He goes on in verse 40 to tell Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Natan Asti Prativyam Divi Devi Suapuna Satam Prakritya Jiramuktam Yan Ebi Satri Mirgune Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. In terms of happiness, devotees, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says there is no being existing, either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, which is freed from three modes born of material nature. We're all bound to the three modes of material nature. We're all bound to goodness. We're all bound to passion. And we're all bound to ignorance. It's up to our choices in life and the way we live for us to know which one of those things we are going to be choosing and which one of those things we are going to be abiding by. But he's not done yet, devotees. In chapter 18, Bhagwan Shri Krishna wants us to know a little further more about how we are supposed to do our work and be happy. He goes in verse 41 to say, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Brahmana Kshatriya Visam, Sundranam Cha Parantapa, Karmani Pravibhaktani, Swambhava Prabhaver Muni, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Turning the volume down because I don't know, it's been too long on this. Bhagwan Shri Krishna is going on in verse 41 to say that Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras, those are the four castes that we have within Sanatana Dharma, are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. So now he's talking about our roles in life based off the caste system. And if you don't know of these verses, devotees, I want you to go back and take a hard, long look at verses 42 through 44 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, because in the next few verses, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells us what these different roles have in life and how they're supposed to work and how they're supposed to attain them. He goes on verses 42 through 44 to state, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Samudamastapam Saucham, Shantir Arjavum Evacha, Jnanam Vijanam Astipyam, Brahma Karma Swabhavajam, Sauryam Tejo Tritir Bhaksyam, Yudhe Chapya Palayanam, Danam Iswaram Bhavascha, Kshatram Karma Swamavajam, Krishi Gorakshavanijam, Vaisyam Karma Swamavajam, Paricharyatamakam Karma, Sudrasyapi Swamavamcha, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. First and foremost, devotees, you'll have to forgive me. I'm constantly looking to my right, and you'll see that in the videos. As I'm looking to the right, I'm trying to monitor to make sure that the virtual satsang is uploading accordingly. And I'm seeing one of the dots saying that we're having some upload issues at this time. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop service. It just means that the video or audio may be a little bit laggy. So you'll have to forgive me for that. It's not something I can actively change. It's just dependent on the weather conditions as well as my internet connection here at my home. So if it bounces in and out, I do apologize for that. But the thing that's going to be uploaded and recorded to YouTube, if you want to tune in later, for some reason the connection cuts out, will be the fine recording with all the audio and visual intact. But as I said, in verse 41, Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras, they all have distinguished qualities born of their natures in accordance with the material modes. So how does each one of these modes, or how does each one of these levels of the caste system live their lives? 42 through 44 are my favorite verses. I'm going to read them to you first and explain to you second why they are my favorite verses. It says in verse 42 that peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness, these are the natural qualities by which the Brahmins work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of the work of Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaisyas, and for the Sudras there is the labor and service to themselves and to others. So these are the qualities of the different levels of our caste system. And looking at all of these devotees, the reason 42 through 44 is my favorite verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Which one of these caste system levels is the best? Which one of them is the best? Now, if you yourself whispered a specific caste out of your mouth, or you even thought it, saying that, oh, Brahmins are the best, Kshatriyas are the best, Vaisyas are the best, Sudras are the best, you're being ignorant. You're living in the mode of ignorance. You're living in the mode of tamaguna. And why is that? Because nowhere in these verses, nowhere in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, nowhere does it say that Brahmins are better than Kshatriyas, Kshatriyas are better than Vaisyas, Vaisyas are better than Sudras, and any other way around. He says that based off your caste system, there is a way that you need to live your life. There's a way that you need to live your life. So me, as a Brahmin, I should be living peaceful. I should have self-control. I should be performing austerities. I should be pure. I should be tolerant. I should have honesty. I should have knowledge and wisdom. I should be religious. That is what a Brahmin should be. If I hoit and toit and walk around and say that I need to be able to sit here, I have to be the first one to eat, I've got to be the first one in line, you have to bow down to me, does that mean that I'm living peaceful? Does that mean I'm living with self-control? Does that mean I'm living with austerity? Definitely not. Am I being pure? Heck no. Am I being tolerant? Absolutely not. I'm not being tolerant because I'm putting myself above everybody else. Am I being knowledgeable or wisdom? Am I being honest? Am I being religious? If I, as a Brahmin, say that I'm better than you. Because the modes in which Bhagwan Shri Krishna is telling me I need to live my life, I'm not doing that by. If you're a Kshatriya and you're telling a merchant that they mean nothing, that the work that they do means nothing, if you're telling a Sudra that the labor and the service they perform to help sustain society is worth nothing, then you are not living like you're a hero. You're not living with determination or resourcefulness. You're not being encouraging. You're not being a person filled with courage. You're being a coward. You're not being generous. You're not leading. That's not a natural quality of somebody who's in the Kshatriya clan. And it's not just a warrior. And it's not the best fighter. Again, it's a person who's strong. It is a person who's strong, but it's a person who's determined. A person who's a good leader. So look at it this way. It doesn't say that the Brahmins are good leaders. It says that the Kshatriyas are good leaders. The warriors are good leaders. It says that those who are best at farming, cow protection, and business, those are the Vaisyas. They're good at those kinds of things. Is a Pandit going to be good at business? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes we see it time and again. Depends on who's running the mandir, how that mandir is being run, where are the finances going, how is it being maintained. Is a person who is knowledgeable and skilled in that resource and that task doing that actual task? Is somebody who's performing labor and service, such as a Sudra, should they be looked down upon? Or should they be accommodated for their work? Mike Rowe does this very wonderful TV show called Dirty Jobs. If you've never seen Dirty Jobs, you need to watch Dirty Jobs. Because Dirty Jobs is about the jobs that some people just don't want to take on. Those who have to clean out cement trunks, garbage workers, those who have to clean out sewage waste. I guarantee you our functional society would break down if each one of these levels of the caste system didn't exist, and if we didn't appreciate each one of these levels in the caste system. And it's not up to you to judge who is better or worse than you. It's up to you to look at these verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and say, this is how I'm going to live my life. Tamaguna. Tamaguna. Tamaguna means goodness. If you want to be a Tama person, Sattva Guna. Sattva, I said that so wrong. I'm so sorry. Sattva guna. Sattvic. Sattvic means goodness. If you want to be a good person, you live your life according to either 42, 43, or 44 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Because that's your role in life. That's your duty in life. And you don't look at anybody else as an unequal. I, as a pundit who's grown up in this society, in this split Guyanese American world, will never ask to be fed first. I will never ask somebody to take my I mean, I may be kind of lazy sometimes, but I'll pick up my own plate and clean up after myself. I'll come early and set up the mandir. I'll go and I'll clean up where I need to. But I'm not going to ask anything for that. Why? Because what does verse 42 tell me to do? It tells me that I need to be peaceful. Something I need to work more on. It tells me that I need to have self-control. Something I need to practice more. It tells me that I need to have austerity and purity. Something I need to focus on continuously. Something that I need all my life. Tolerance. I have to be tolerant of everyone and everything no matter what. I have to be honest. I have to be wise, and I have to be religious. That is how I'm going to live my life, because that is how I personally am going to be sattva guna my entire life. Your homework this week, devotees, verses 42, 43, 44. Ask yourself, what's my caste and what's my role in life? And then have a long, hard discussion with yourself about how you're better than nobody else. How everybody that's sitting beside you is your equal, and the only thing that separates you from them is the role that you have to fulfill in life. Because at the end of the day, your atma mere atma hai. The same thing happens to your soul as the person sitting next to you. We end on verses 45 and 46 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita of chapter 18, devotees, in which Bhagavan Shri Krishna goes on to state to Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Sway Sway Karamanya Bhirata, Samse Himla Bhatinara, Swakaramaniratha Sindhim, Yata Vinnati Takshtrunu, Yata Pravittir Bhutanam, Yena Saramam Idam Katam, Swakaramanatam Amyarcham, Siddhim Vinnati Manava, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. By following his qualities of work, devotees, in verse 45, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, every man and woman can become perfect. Every man and woman can become perfect by performing their qualities of work. Now, Arjuna, please hear from me how this can be done. He says that a man or a woman can attain perfection by tuning in next Sunday for a regular Sunday morning satsang to hear how he completes this statement. Prem se Bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. With that being said, devotees, as we approach the end of our Sunday morning satsang for today, I'd like for you all to join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax your spine, your shoulders, your neck, relax your forehead. Continue to keep your eyes closed, devotees, with all of your energy. Focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus and join together with me as we chant our closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktahinam Janaradanam यज्ञपूजितं मया देवा परिपूर्णं करस्तु मे पापोऽहं पापकर्माहं पापोऽत्मा पापसम्भवात्राहि मम पुण्डरीकाक्षं सर्वपापो हरो हरि ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ सन्तु मा सद्गमय तमस्सो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युमामृतं यमय हरि ओं शान्ति 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 हरि ओं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः ॐ ध्याव शान्तिरन्तरिक्षं शान्ति पृथिवी शान्तिरापा शान्तिरौषधेय शान्तिर्वनस्पति शान्तिर्विश्वदेव शान्तिर्ब्रह्मा शान्तिर्सर्वं शान्तिर्शान्तिरेव शान्ति सामा शान्तिरेधि हरि ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम तत्सत। प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय, प्रेम से बोलो सरस्वती माता की जय, प्रेम से बोलो विष्णु भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो शिव शंकर भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो शिव शक्ति मंदिर की जय, प्रेम से बोलो सनातन धर्म की जय। Devotees, with this, we have come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us live during our virtual Sunday morning service, or for those of you who are tuning in later to watch later in the day. First and foremost, devotees, the first thing I want to do is apologize for last week. It was a very sudden cancellation of Sunday morning service. There was a storm that passed through the area of Georgia that my wife and I live in, and our neighborhood was left without power. And unfortunately, the thing that really fuels Sunday morning service is the fact that technology has to be working and I have to have working internet to do so. So we were not able to do that. We tried to text as many people as we could. We know who tune in or tune in later on in the day. We didn't get the chance to send an email out, so we do apologize for that. But that's essentially what happened last week. So I do apologize, devotees, for making a gap in our regular schedule to not have Sunday morning service. But if anything like that happens again in the future, we will make sure to let you all know ahead of time. Well, as best as we can. We will send a text out to those who that we can. And if you find out about it, we ask that you spread the word. But for those of you who I texted who responded back and who continue to share the word that we weren't having Sunday service last week, thank you so much for that. Serena and I are doing fine. We ended up getting power back at around, I believe, noon or so, which was good because the house was getting kind of hot. So it all worked out in the end. In regards to some announcements, I want to move on to those here, devotees. We do have a few things that are occurring. So between yesterday and today, we've seen a lot of people celebrating something very special, especially to brothers and sisters. Actually, as a matter of fact, Gita Samlal has also sent in a video that she'd like for us to play. I want to show that video really quickly, and then let's break down exactly what that video is about. So the period that we're in right now, yesterday to today, is known as a period as Raksha Bandhan. So what did you see in that video? What we saw was Gita and her brother exchanging a Rakhi, a gift, and then, some cheer and joy between the two of them. So essentially what that is, and what Raksha Bandhan is, and what we need to understand, is that the bond between siblings is eternal. The moment you were born as siblings, or the moment that you tie a Rakhi onto somebody's hand, it means that there's a bond between the two of you that will exist until the end of this current life. That bond that exists is a bond between brother and sister. It states that the sister will always be there to look out for the brother, to be a listening ear for the brother, and to provide support for the brother, while the brother in turn also provides the same thing as well as protection for the sister. Just because your sister moves on and marries somebody else and changes her name, and it's not technically, as we say in our religion, part of their family, does not mean she's ever left the family. It means that it's someone that you still protect, someone that you're still there for, and someone that you're still there with at all times. As a matter of fact, I got my Rakhi right here on my wrist. Sue doesn't live here in Georgia. She lives up in New Jersey. So she sent her, every year she does the same thing. She sends the Rockies down to Mahendra and I, and then we FaceTime each other and we talk for a little bit. So that's our tradition, because that's about as close as we can get, given the travel restrictions and how costly it is to travel right now. And so for this day, for those of you who have a sibling or somebody that you would consider as a sibling, go ahead and give them a call. Even if you don't have a Rocky to give them, even if you don't have a gift to give back, it's still important to check on those folks that you know are important to you and important in your life, to make sure that they're doing okay. Everybody at some point in their life will need some sort of what I call a mental check. When I say mental check, it's calling somebody to make sure that up here, they're doing okay, that they don't have anything that they need to get off their chest, that everything that is going on with them is going well. And if not, we can provide moral support. So if you have some time today and there's somebody that you treat like a brother or a sister, give them a call. It's Raksha Bandhan. Say happy Raksha Bandhan and give some time of your day to talk to them. See how they're doing and see how they're feeling. It's a very important thing to do. Next Sunday, devotees, it marks another period that we will be celebrating as Shri Krishna Janmashtami. That will be a service that we are performing again virtually. We won't be doing it. We won't be doing it in person. Service next Sunday is going to be a little altered. We're not going to have Sunday morning service. We're not going to have our 10 a.m. regular Sunday morning virtual service. Instead, we're going to have service starting at 6 o'clock on Sunday, because that's for Krishna Janmashtami Puja. So at 6 o'clock next Sunday, which is August 29th, we will be doing our Shri Krishna Janmashtami Puja here on the Mandir YouTube channel. Give or take, there are some logistics we're still trying to figure out, my family and I, in terms of whether we're doing a full puja or whether it's going to be me sitting down and doing a puja for you all here in my own little temple, and then talking to you about Shri Krishna Janmashtami and reading the stories from the Srimad Bhagavad Puran about the birth of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. But that will be more vetted out once we get towards next Sunday. But just know that next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be celebrating our Krishna Janmashtami Puja live here on our YouTube channel. I currently don't have any other announcements religious-wise. I'll cover some more of them next week after we get through as to what's going on in the month of September. Just know in September we have Ganesh Chaturthi as well as Pitru Paksha starting. But some announcements from our president. We have some birthdays that we wanted to let's see, what is today? Today's the 22nd. That we wanted to let people know about, and some birthdays we wanted to celebrate. First and foremost, to my Uncle Jimmy Jagdanan, who lives down in Florida. Very happy birthday to you. I know my dad went down and gave you a hard time. I hope he didn't give you too much of a hard time. I hope he celebrated with you very well. So very happy birthday to you, Uncle Jimmy. To my Kavo Dada, I know, again, we give you a hard time too. It's funny, I was watching a video Christina posted of him. And for a second I was like, who's recording? I'm not at a music booth. Who is? And it turns out it was my Cabo Dada. It turns out we have the same shape head, same color skin, and the same bubbly personality. So to you, Cabo Dada, I wish you a very, very happy birthday. To Uncle Rick Somra, I wish you a very happy birthday as well. I hope today's been great. I hope the kids have treated you well, and I hope Auntie Deomti bought you a new car and took you out to get you some dinner. To Auntie Savi, same thing. I hope Uncle Rube took you out to dinner and bought you 2 new cars for your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And to Auntie Jenny, I hope I know the kids cooked you an amazing dinner for your birthday, or at least that's what you said. So I hope that your dinner was amazing. I hope Uncle Chris treated you well. I hope you had a very fantastic day on your birthday as well, Auntie Jenny. In regards to anniversaries, to Uncle Sam and Auntie Patsy, they celebrated their anniversary these past few weeks. So to both of you, very happy anniversary to you both. And with that being said, devotees, that is the last announcement that I have for today. Again, next Sunday, we will be convening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Shri Krishna Janmashtami Puja. But until then, devotees, you all stay safe. You stay well out there. And we'll see you next Sunday for our regular Sunday morning satsang. Jai Sita Ram.